Welcome, legends. Are you ready for today's stream? Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin. The drop of the neckline, the drop below $100,000, not managing to break successfully. Let's go. Are we ready to pump, or is danger ahead of us? Are we going to go to lower prices, 92K, 85K? Or is it all good, legends? Let me know right away in the comment section. We'll be diving in right away through the comment section right away. Say hello to the beautiful community. Let's put the background music and analyze the charts very carefully here together. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. And we'll go right away through the technical analysis, guys. We got a little bit of a bounce, not much of a successful breakdown below $100,000. This for me was kind of expected to get some kind of a nice bounce in this region, leaning on the probabilities of the analysis of the chart that a great continuation breakdown to 95, 90K levels was highly unlikely that we are going to get continuation on this movement down that was yesterday, Sunday. And we're going to get a little bounce. Is it time to short? The downtrend continues. Well, the downtrend is real, right? The downtrend is very much real here. The question is it time for a reversal? Are we going to form another lower high and claim the lows again, and then maybe get to 97, 96K, where we do have insane amount of support? This is a much more interesting long position, I have to say, guys. If we were to get another leg down, it would be much better for a long position, right? But the question is, is the low in right now? That there is a count where the low could be in. There are some other counts that I do prefer another low. Okay, this was on the previous video that we did post yesterday. I mean, this was a scenario as well. You got a finished, X wave here in a triangle A, B, C, D, E. It does make sense that we could get that leg down to claim $100,000, right? We could be forming a triangle right now. We could be forming a flat structure. We could be forming that descending contracting diagonal as well, which was an option here in the red, the most aggressive one. And there's actually two options with this, right? Ultimately, looking for a bounce as soon as we sweep up the low is kind of expected, regardless if it's this scenario or if it's this one. It doesn't really matter. Getting that movement down, we're looking for some kind of a bounce and not getting continuation to the downside as of yet, right? As of yet. Could it happen in the next coming days? Maybe yes, but with the first breakdown, it was highly unlikely that we were going to get a successful continuation, right? Which is eventually claim the lows, get a bit of a shaky out movement here, and then get this bounce, right? So in this episode, we're going to talk about a few plans that I am getting ready. I am in a long position already. This was provided yesterday in the Discord, also in the Telegram signals channel. Said straight away, guys, I actually entered a long position here. We were actually forming a little bit of a floor. The main reason why is because of the entire corrective structure. We were actually hitting some pretty nice extension levels, the one-to-one extension from these three pivots, okay? One-to-one extension here, hitting perfectly, getting a bit of a reaction. Also the 1, 2, 3, 6 from these two pivots right there. It was just a nice area of confluence, and the price was finding a base, and I was looking for a bounce in that long position. Did provide it in the signals channel on the Telegram. If you are interested in that, guys, you do have the first link down below, okay, to follow the steps to join the signals channel. I'm providing my trades. Some people don't want education. They want to know when I'm trading, when I'm longing, when I'm shorting, okay? And I do provide that in the Telegram signals channel, also in the Discord, okay, where you do have the education, the video updates, which is the 6th link down below in the description, okay, for anybody that wants more updates, more analysis, my trades, right? Instead of only YouTube. Let's go right away. There's some really interesting scenarios here on the charts, guys. It is, yeah, I have a few scenarios ready. I have to say, I've been sucking at shorts in this range, guys. I did short the market. I did manage to profit. Not that much, though. Not much as I would want to. So I've been making more gains longing in this range than actually shorting. There was only a couple of shorts. There was one right over here. There was another short hedge that I got in this area. Just realizing there was a three-wave structure bounce compounded into that short. It wasn't much of a big position for me. But yeah, I've been better at longing this range than shorting, which is totally fine. But yeah, the recent couple of drops, I kind of missed out. I missed out on these drops, not easy for me to get into these shorts unless you're in a short from higher, right? So let's talk about new opportunities. Let's talk about new opportunities. We can focus on the higher time frame, right? The low could be in. Let's go with the resistance, okay, first of all, because we are bouncing. Now, for the bears, I like, this is only a dead cat bounce. The moment we sweep some lows of a range, I am very concerned of the price, rolling down, right? When you claim the lows or the highs of a range, you need to take into consideration that a significant bounce could happen, right? Because it's a perfect liquidity grab. And is the bounce just going to be a couple of $1,000s, or is it going to be $5,000, $6,000, right? That is the main question here. And always, once you break down from the lows of a range, I'm only looking for longs, guys. I'm only looking for longs here. I'm not going to short the breakdown of the head and shoulder structure, and all of this war, conflict, and situation. I don't give a damn. I'm looking at the charts, and I realize there's low probability in breaking down, as explained the last few days. So I'm going to trade by the charts. So the overall question right now, okay, we're going to be building up some scenarios, coming to the conclusion of what is the highest probability, guys. Okay, I understood throughout the last few days that there is a low probability in breaking down, and I am ready with some levels such as the extension 1-to-1, the 1-2-3-6, and realizing that all of this is very three wavy, and I don't expect a massive third wave down. So I'm ready to jump into a long position as soon as we find a base. Let's just explain the different levels here for a short or a long, because I am interested in longs, guys. And, you know, first of all, yeah, we did kind of create a swing failure pattern from the lows. This is very classic, liquidity grab, get a bounce. We do have some local support levels and very strong resistance above us. And the resistance is relatively simple, fixed volume profile. We do have the value area over this entire range and the point of control. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a situation if we do try and attempt to get above this $102,000, right? 102.5K. I think we're going to struggle a little bit, okay? There could be some struggles to try and get back inside of the value area of this zone. So is that a good short? Well, we're going to have to explain a little bit what I want to see to get into the short, because I am interested in shorts. I've been absolutely sucking in and shorting this market here throughout the last few days. I've been really bad. I mean, I've made gains shorting, but they were small positions. They were mainly to hedge against the long. So overall, I am interested still in shorts. I want to get into a short. Is it time to short right now? Well, the price could reject from here, but we'll go later on into the lower time frames, because I would like to see some kind of a three-wave move here, okay? I would like to see some kind of a three-wave move. Remember, the markets move in either three waves or five waves. For me, this is very one-wavy. It's very one-wavy. It's just been the bounce from yesterday to today. When you do take a look at these bounces, you know, say from this high, movement down, bounce, higher low, another high, three-wave structure. You got the movement down here, you got a bounce, you got a higher low, and a three-wave structure right over here, right? So ideally, I would want to see, could we consider this the correction? I mean, yeah, if we do continue up, then yeah, maybe it's going to be the case. But ideally, you know, you want to see some kind of a three-wave move here, right? This is very one-wavy still. So I'm like biting my teeth right now to not jump into a short. You know, we remain patient till we actually see some kind of a three-wave development, hit some crucial resistance levels. And I want to explain it in today's stream. You know, sometimes you just need to wait for the highest probability scenario, and the price needs to move in certain waves. So yeah, that's, you know, there's brutal resistance here. Could we get above it and just blast through? Absolutely. It is definitely a chance. Especially when we are considering this ABC flat scenario, right? This is one of the scenarios that I do see possible, right? After this movement down, right? Which was, you know, pretty aggressive. I did put it above the triangle just because I don't want to overlap it, because you won't see it. But overall, getting this drop down from here, right? And then, you know, getting a massive rally above 106.6K. It doesn't seem it's possible at this moment, right? With all the bearishness, it's downtrending, you know, who's going to buy with all of this conflict? So there's other scenarios that are interesting, which is, you know, eventually the triangle or the continuation to the downside of this contracting diagonal, right? Which we could put this here, right? This was just a map, okay? It was only a map, so I'm just putting it a little bit back in price action. And ideally, you know, this, if we are going to be forming this contracting diagonal here, which there is two scenarios for this one. There is the three-wave structure, the X wave right over here, which is short, just hitting the 382 Fibonacci. The timing is very shallow. I don't give this the highest probability scenario. There is another one that looks very sexy that I will explain right away, but this would be a three-wave structure, complex correction, a little bit shallow in time, I have to say. You know, this is too large of a wave compared to this one, right? So you want the waves to be more symmetrical, ideally. But in this case, you have the ABC flat. Now, the C wave is forming a contracting diagonal. It is true that if your C wave, okay, which needs 5 waves in a flat or in a zigzag, it doesn't matter, you need 5 waves in a C wave, you the timing between your A wave and your B wave, right, the moment you cross twice the timing of your A wave and your B wave together, it decreases the probability that you are looking at, you know, an ABC flat, right? When your C wave is twice the length of your A wave and your B wave together, which it is, you know, it's starting to overextend. So this is losing probabilities as time goes on. However, the most interesting area is exactly where we have the value area low, right? And even the point of control, just a cheeky one. We do not want to expand here. This needs to be contracting ideally. It is more common to see a contracting diagonal than an expanding diagonal. And ideally it does reject here, where we do have the CME futures gap as well, right? There is a CME futures gap. I know there's some CME futures gap lovers out there, so we're going to have to talk about it. So we do have that CME futures gap, which is, man, I did have it marked up here somewhere. Where is it? Anyway, the CME futures gap is sitting around, I'll tell you what, we will mark it right away. We will go to Friday with the session volume profile, and we will zoom in to the Friday close, and we'll get that CME futures gap here all together, right? Which is the Friday, Saturday, there we go, the Friday close right over here, which is sitting at 103.2, or at least on Bybit. It's not 103.2. It is actually slightly higher on the CME, but BTC CME gap, okay, right over here, which is interesting. We can go through the BTC futures gap, and it is in a very interesting area. It is in a very, very interesting area, right? And of course, all of the bears are going to be like wanting to ape into a short. I think we need to remain a little bit patient till we hit some big resistance levels. We got this scenario that is possible. I'm not giving it the highest probability, but we, you know, as we're so bearish, well, you know, we want to take that zone into consideration here. CME futures gap going here to the BTC CME futures. We can see it is just above $103,000, right? We left a big gap with that Sunday drop. And we got value area low and the point of control of this range, right? If this scenario is going to be the one that's playing out, ideally we do, you know, fail to get back inside of the value area, fill the gap potentially, start getting some weakness, and, you know, shorts could be very interesting without a doubt. Okay, I wouldn't rush. I don't want to rush into a short. I want a short. But, you know, when the price drops, it absolutely nukes. This is the thing, right? When you get the short, it's much better because the prices, it literally drops very, very fast, right? It's so nice to be in a short position because it's like you enter and it starts rolling very fast. You can protect. You know, shorts are really, really nice to trade without a doubt. But, you know, I really want to see that zone be hit. That is value area low, point of control, CME futures gap. You have the potential for the contracting diagonal situation here. You are downtrending, so hey, let's not forget that we are in a downtrend. We all want a reversal, right? At least the bulls, at least the people that are holding Bitcoin. We want a reversal. You know, there's chances for a reversal, but we are here to make money also, right? So if we can short the market, we'll short it. Let me know down below. Let me know in the comment section. Are you shorting? Are you longing? Are you bearish? Are you bullish? Let me ask the community right away, and then we'll continue with some scenarios. So that is a zone that looks very interesting for the moment, right? This area. We got a lot of things going on here. CME futures gap, value area low of the range, point of control. It could get some choppiness. It could fail to go to higher levels. Fill the gap and then roll down is an option. Could we front run it and roll from here? Absolutely. But this is my preferred scenario. If I'm honest with you here, okay, it would be my preferred area to realize, yeah, this is where I would be interested in looking for a rejection, analyze the situation, you know, possibly look for the short position. Let me ask the community right away on a poll here. Make sure to destroy that like button, guys, if you do enjoy the content. How are you feeling? Are you feeling for the next coming days, right? Regardless if you're bullish or bearish for the long term in the coming days, right? This poll is for the coming days, guys. I want to know the opinion, the general opinion of the community right over here. Okay, I would say I'm a little bit, I think it's mainly going to be rangy still, guys. I would say maybe bullish short term, maybe bullish short term. We might extend our you know, the price action to 103, 104. Let's see what the people say here, guys. How are you feeling at the moment after claiming the lows? You know, is this just a failed, right, swing failure pattern, and it's just going to roll down to test the lows? I'm going to be talking about an epic long level, guys. You take this with a grain of salt. It's a level that I am looking at to re-enter a long position. If I get stopped out from the current one, I've scratched a bit of profits. But I'm very interested in another level, especially if we move down like here. I'm still in the camp that a successful breakdown is unlikely. Okay, I can't say it's impossible. Okay, but I have to say it is unlikely for me. You know, I'm still sticking with the analysis on the range continues, and I do not expect a big breakdown here. Based on what I've talked about the last couple of days, right? There's several scenarios which is actually claiming $100,000, but not getting a breakdown, as you can see here, with the different options placed on the previous video. So if we move down based on this scenario, not this one, sorry, this one right over here, which is definitely, you know, still possible, create one more wave down to claim the lows of yesterday. I want to long this, guys. You know, the structure does look extremely corrective regardless. If we pump up, then happy birthday. You know, absolutely great. You know, I'm already in a long position that I did provide in the Telegram and also on the Discord. But I would actually prefer, because I would go a little bit more heavy in this long, you know, risking even, you know, 3% of capital here for this long. And there's so much confluence down at the $97,000 range. So let's just get people ready for, if the price rolls over, I'm still leaning in the camp that a successful breakdown is unlikely, and a bit of claim the lows and a bit of choppiness hitting 97, maybe 96K is the zone that I expect it to hold to get an epic bounce. And the main reason why that level is so interesting, well, let's just zoom out a little bit and understand, right, you know, the high volume node of this range, right? There's just a big range point of control, right, which is this one right over here. Hang on a second, we need to update this right there. Okay, which is sitting at 96.7. There is a lot of volume at 97 already. Okay, there is a big mountain here. This is where the highest volume is, but all of this is really a big high volume node. It will be filling, you know, it will be filling this candlestick as well, and coming all the way down to the high of this order block, if you wish, right, or the resistance area where you have that point of control. It is also where you have the 382 Fibonacci. It's not an exact level, it is slightly higher, but it's round about that zone. With the analysis of this range, considering that, you know, we're running out of scenarios, you know, this would be one of them. This scenario in this contracting diagonal also leans even better with a, you know, Devil pointed this out and I want to share it with you, where you have a three-wave structure, okay, in an A wave, a flat in a B wave, a flat in a B wave, right, and then the zigzag down. I've been, you know, there's a lot of people that have been talking about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, you know, this really just burns my eyes because, you know, there's overlap regardless on the linear chart or whatever, guys. There's overlap. It's been hit on most of the exchanges. You want to have your rules well grounded. All right. And if you overlap wave 4 and wave 1, forget about it. It's not possible. Okay, an expanding diagonal is possible, but your 5th wave is shorter than the 3rd wave. That's it. The rules are the rules, you know, and that gives you an edge on realizing what is forming here is not a 5 wave, 3 wave, 5 wave. Regardless, it doesn't matter because both of the scenarios are literally almost the same in target zones. Because you can take this as a 3-wave structure in an A wave, a flat, expanding flat in a B wave, and then the contracting diagonal, right? This is, you know, it's literally the same thing from, not this, sorry. I want to talk about that later on. This is the same thing, regardless if it's a WXY or an ABC, right? Zigzag. Or even a flat. Some exchanges did hit the 0.88 or 0.9 Fibonacci. It doesn't really matter that the target zones are the same. So yeah, if we were to form a lower high here and claim the lows of yesterday at 98K, $97,000 to $96,000, I will be ready to see, you know, the price stopping. And it's crucial, guys. The moment I jumped into this long position yesterday, okay, with the legends and the Telegram group, guys, you know, the Telegram is for people that don't give a damn of the education. Well, they like the education, but they want to know where I am when I'm entering the trade position. Okay. And I entered that long position yesterday, which is doing pretty okay. It's doing pretty okay with this bounce, scratched some profits, leaving some open, just realizing that the gap could be filled. And, you know, we could have an attempt in breaking above. I'm just, you know, I want to hold without a doubt that long position. I'm aware that I could get stopped out at break even, but I will just be ready to jump into another long position if the lows are claimed. And it's crucial to see a little bit of proof of support, guys. I entered this long position right over here in this area when we formed a little bit of a base. We formed a bit of a base. We did come down the low. Stop loss was, you know, far away. Took this more as a swing trade. This is where I entered the long yesterday. Not here, not here, not here. Finding a bit of a base, hitting the 1-to-1 extension from what I explained, okay, from higher time frames. Don't want to go now. But there was some nice fib extensions, and it's worth it for the bounce. So anyway, let's just get ready for other scenarios, guys. I don't want to be too fussy with the price action right now. Let's just get ready for some nice swings. I'm getting more into trades that could last at least a couple of days, 2, 3, maybe 5, maybe 2 weeks. You know, I'm very chilled right now with the analysis and entering trades. I don't need to scalp and lose more hair, okay? Because, you know, it's my scalping and day trading times. I'm gonna let it go a little bit and just get into some nice chilled in the long, you know, with a bigger position. Sold some Bitcoin because of this, just to get into a bit more swing trading, right? It's mainly a few days of trades, but anyway. So this zone becomes very interesting, guys, okay? I am leaning on, if we come back down there, I am going to re-enter a long position. This is me. I want to see a little bit of proof of support, okay? I'm not going to catch the first wick down. I want to see a little bit of a reaction area. I want to see something here, just like we had yesterday, which we did get a little consolidation of 30 minutes, right? We're trading in that $99,000 range, and I'm like, yeah, it's holding nicely. We got the drop. We lost the lows. I'm ready for the long based on the analysis, right, that was provided the last few days. You know, still sticking with the analysis. If we claim below 100K, I'm going to be ready for longs. So the same applies here. I realize there's a local bearish case. If we roll from here, I have to say I missed the short again, guys. I mean, I might short. I will let the Telegram and the Discord, you know, people, if I am getting into this short position, for the moment, I'm no longer in some shorts. but I want to short. Okay, I have a zone which I'm ready to short based on, you know, Elliott wave theory. There is that bearish case scenario, regardless if it's an ABC, right, zigzag or WXY, with this contracting diagonal, which is developed with 3-wave structures. What I like about this is, yeah, this for me is a 3-wave structure. 3-wave up, you know, possible 3-wave down. 3-wave up right now into the 103K zone. Yeah, 3-wave down, you name it. It's developed mainly by 3 waves. There's lots of overlap. You know, people are trying to, you know, go crazy here with the Elliott wave theory. If it's an impulse, if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's developed by 3 waves, which automatically tells you it's an ending diagonal. It's a, you know, more complex situation where you're getting into a triangle right now. Also, I just don't see the continuation breakdown, guys. Okay, I'm quite confident about it. Could I be wrong? And I would have to come on YouTube, right, and explain your BS analysis, right? A lot of people saying it was BS, right? We broke down. We at 90K now. Where is all of that fancy Elliott wave theory scenarios, right? I'm gonna have to put this in the bin, guys. All of this in the bin, and say, you know, I was completely wrong of this idea, which I'll be happy till I'm proven, you know, otherwise. So let's go right away through. I mean, yeah, this is a bearish case scenario, but I'm not even going to talk about it because I just see it extremely highly unlikely to get that successful breakdown for the moment anyway. Let's go right away through this level again, guys. Okay, just to stay ready. Okay, just to stay ready. I'm in no shorts. I'm only long from the lows here yesterday. I'm in that short, but profits have been taken from a few days ago. I want to be ready for the next trade in this area. I realized based on Elliott wave theory and based on the amount of confluence that there is, that the highest probability zone to hold is the $97,000 range. Give or take, it might wick down to 96. We're just going to have to see that proof of support in this zone. I mean, in simple terms, it's the point of control of this range. It could, you know, it's the highs of this resistance. It's just a nice basic level also regarding basic technical analysis. But with complex Elliott wave theory, you know, counts, it does make sense also to get that bounce in this region. So $96,000 to $97,000. If we get down there, I want to see proof of support. The moment I see proof of support, okay, it's very important, guys, to understand when to trigger, because people will just catch a falling knife or they will just have limit longs, right, to try and get their best entry. This will work sometimes, but it doesn't always work, right? This doesn't always work, right, where you just put limit longs, right, and you want to get the best entry zone, and then the price, you know, you basically, it's a good recipe to get wrecked, right? I'll just put loads of limit longs, and then, you know, Andy says that we're likely going to bounce. I do not know. I set my alerts and I trade based on the reaction of the zone. Proof of support. It's holding. Nice. Let's look for the bounce. So, yeah, that's literally the best long in zone, if not yesterday. If not yesterday was the best long in zone. I mean, we could rally here, form a little bit of a triangle. We do have the flat scenario as well, which would be, you know, something like this. It's very, very possible also. It's without a doubt a scenario that could happen. And it's just really a bear flag, right? A bullish flag, if you think about it like that. But anyway, level to level here, guys. Level to level. We drop down. I'm interested in a long in between 96 and 97. Well, 97 range, okay? 97K range. And then for a short position, I want the price to try and fill the CME futures gap, try and get above the highs of yesterday. Okay. Yeah, that would be ideal. An attempt to get back above the value area low of this trading zone. If we roll down, we almost touch the value area low. as resistance. We missed it by, you know, about $100 or so. Yeah, we've lost the value area low of this range, which is obviously a serious issue here, without a doubt. You know, an attempt in going to higher levels here and failing to get acceptance back above the value area low of the range is going to be a key, you know, key movement, right? Realizing the choppiness and the weakness that it's just, you know, it's just ready to roll over, right? It is in a downtrend. If you start dancing around here in between 102 and 104K, not managing to get above, you know, this region successfully, filling the CME futures gap and get the weakness and loss of the level, you know, I don't mind catching the high here. If I'm honest with you, I want to see that weakness. I want to see the price stop and jump into the short later on, which I will let the signals channel aware, guys. I am providing my Bitcoin setups directly, guys, where I am entering. If you want to copy them or not, that is up to you. I'm giving a little bit of risk management, you know, non-financial advice. I cannot say what you need to do. I'm telling you what I am doing. And if you want to copy, then it's up to you, guys. You do have that in the signals channel on the Telegram, which is the first link down below. And that's, you know, the long position that I entered yesterday was provided in the Telegram. Join the Telegram to get more information, which is this long position right over here at 99.2K. Once we found a bit of a base. Took a bit of profit. I am aware of getting stopped out at break even. And I'll just be ready to get into another long, guys. You know, there's no issue in this. No issue at all. So ideally here, I do see this like a little bit of a leading move up. Okay. It does look a bit 5 wavy, for me anyway. I mean, this is going through the 5-minute time frame. Could we get a drop from here? I mean, it does look like it very much, guys, I have to say. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, a bit of a flat situation here, but you know, it does look pretty 5 wavy. And now you just form that ABC movement, right? This bounce is kind of, you kind of want to short these bounces here, just because this is very straight line. But you know, this could find some support if we get this leg down. We are in a downtrend. It does get difficult to try and long a higher low when you're downtrending, right? It's like, why on earth would you attempt a higher low in a downtrend? The lows is your target zone, right? It's like a little bit suicidal. But we do have some support. The price action here does give us signs that it is a little bit 5 wavy. Could we get a 3-wave structure here before rolling down, if it is going to be the case? You know, I am leaning on, yeah, that is very much a possibility here based on this 5-wave structure to the upside. It looks more 5 wavy. It looks more like a leading move. So it would make sense to do this. So where could the price bounce? Well, first of all, we do have the previous week lows. Sorry, my bad. Not the previous week lows. I do have the trend line here somewhere. I don't know what I've done with it. I did save it before the stream. It's these lows right over here. Could we create a back test from the lows of the range? You know, it becomes interesting with the anchored VWAP of the low, which is, yeah, we already hit that anchored VWAP. Got a little bit of a bounce, but doesn't look too promising. And this is where you apply Elliott wave theory, where you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, whoop, you lose the VWAP. It gets a bit of an aggressive drop to sweep up the lows. Most commonly, you do get to the wave 4 on an ABC correction, and this is Elliott wave theory, you know, 5-minute time frame, legend. So you always need to take it with a grain of salt. It can be very, very unpredictable. But yeah, sweeping up the fourth wave, which is very common for an ABC, would be a zone of interest. You got the pivot low of the range, which is this green horizontal line. This does look, you know, it can be counted as an impulse. Obviously, in a downtrend, you know, these are the risks that you take, right? You're downtrending, right? If you're looking for a higher low in a downtrend, well, good luck with that, right? it's going to be a tricky situation. But looking at the CVD, you know, we are literally forming bullish CVD divergence very, very nicely. We've got a bit of, yeah, we got some nice lower lows. At least we're very close to forming lower lows on most of the exchanges. So I think there's going to be a lot of people wanting to short here this scenario. And, you know, we will be forming lower lows on the CVD, very, very likely, and higher lows on the price action, which is, if we do find a little bit of support, it could be absorption, okay, of shorts, limit longs absorbing those shorts. And that is when we get into the technical level, which is the back test of the low of the range. We do have reasons to believe it could be a three waver and then move down. So, I mean, this would be the ideal local long position. That is if we get down there. So we want to see proof of support after sweeping up the potential fourth wave of this movement to the upside. Form that kind of a zigzag move, right? Anchored VWAP is you know, from the lows of yesterday, is holding as support. I mean, this could be the correction. I'm really not that fussy with this. I'm not interested in doing anything, if I'm honest with you. If we do this, then I would say, you know, hey, this looks pretty good. You know, 50% Fibonacci. Could it, you know, attempt, you know, 50% would be the ideal scenario here, with the lows of the range of the last few weeks, which is round about 50% Fibonacci. Sweep up the lows, higher lows right there. Bullish CVD divergence. You know, if we start dancing in this area with bullish CVD divergence, I think it's a good attempt. It's a good attempt. Okay, but we don't want to see the price nuking down. If it nukes down, then, you know, hands off the mouse, hands off the table. It's like, go, do what you need to do, right? If you need to go and claim the lows of yesterday, do it. But if you dance around, that's when you're like, whoop, you know, something's happening here, right? The bulls are, you know, attempting to hold this range, the lows of the range. You know, I would be interested in looking at a possible long here, at least to claim the highs of today and potentially fill that CME futures gap if we're not going to fill it already, and attempt to get back inside of the value of low of the range. So this would be the most interesting level, regardless if we come down there or not. It's a matter of being patient right now, for me anyway, in this range. So yeah, interesting level for shorts, sweeping up the highs of yesterday, CME futures gap, previous week low, you know, possible three-wave mover, sweep up the liquidity, and then roll down. If we get the choppiness, fill the gap, get the choppiness, get back below the value area of the entire range, this could be the short. This could be the short. Get the weakness. We are downtrending. There is a scenario of coming to lower. If we do get the rejection, you know, I will be interested in shorting here. And I will let the Telegram, you know, signals channel and the Discord, not all, and the Discord, I'm jumping into short here, right? The percentage, you know, the leverage, and you know, where I'm taking profits. So yeah, that's literally about it, guys, in this little range. We can talk about a few higher time frame scenarios, but yeah, I'm more interested in shorts here. This could be an interesting long if we find proof of support and we get bullish CVDs to get a three-wave structure. Remember, three-wave structures, right? It is the key. The price moves in 3 waves or in 5 waves, right? The price moves in 3-5 waves. So I only see a little bit of a one waver here. So I would be interested in being in this wave right over here, right? Just as I was interested in this wave over here, which I did long successfully also in the Telegram community. And yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. Want to see a bit of proof of support, you know, and then take that decision and share it with the legends. If we break down, then yeah, sayonara, baby, we go lower, and I'll be interested in the longs over here, right? So it's really about taking the decision, guys, because I can share some levels, and I know people would just ape in, right? It's like, that's a good level, the analysis makes sense, I'm just going to jump into the long, right? I'm putting a limit longs here, and I'm going to the gym, and I'm going for dinner. Let's see what the price is tonight, right? We want to see proof of support. We want to see the price dancing in this zone. You know, possible backtest, bullish CVDs. Elliott wave theory, we do have a 3-wave corrective structure. This could be an impulse. It makes sense to believe that we could have a 3-waver, maybe then go down. We are looking for the price to move up in 3 waves. This does look very one-wavy for the moment. So, you know, it would make sense to actually see some absorption here. There's no doubt about it that we are going to see some shorts entering, because we are in a downtrend eventually, right? And you're going to see lots of people wanting to short here, and you are going to get those lower lows on the CVD and higher lows on price action, which is the perfect, you know, little short squeeze that you do get before you get continuation down, right? So I'm kind of interested in the long here and interested in the short here after filling the gap or attempting to fill the gap, right? This is a little bit of what I see here with the timing and the price action from these local trading setups. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit it, guys. Not really much. We've got lots. This is massive level above 102.6. Value area low, previous week low, CME futures gap. It's just such a classic level to fail, I have to say. It is a classic zone to fail. Value area low, previous week low, CME futures gap, downtrend, you know, get a little bit of a quick short squeeze and then move down is something that looks very interesting. I want to see weakness. I want to see rejection. If we break through from here, I will no longer be in a short. I will not attempt a short. If I do eventually, I will let the community know. Let's go right away through the comment section. 𝗞𝗔 is here. Seeing Andy in autism mode. Yes, very true, my man. My girlfriend says that about me. She really does think that I do have autism. Let's go, 𝗞𝗔, the legends. It is time to say hello to the beautiful community. Make sure to destroy that like button, as 𝗞𝗔 is suggesting, right? He is giving the financial advice of smashing up the like button. Holy moly, 150 likes. This is embarrassing. I'm out, guys. No way. 150 likes. We got almost 700 people watching. Yeah, I'm out. It's working. It is working. It is working. Who's in a short position? Who's in a long? When you will enter Ethereum, I have no idea. I do have an Ethereum bag. Ethereum. We can do some Ethereum analysis later on, guys. The levels and scenarios are very much, it's incredible. I did stand up and 50 people just left the stream. Absolutely insane. Anyway, let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, and let's answer some. Let's do a little bit of a Q&A session here for the moment, guys. Okay, let's do a little bit of a Q&A session. BTC retested 110k like 30 times. 110, is that 110k? Like 30 times. I'm not sure what you want about. 110k like 30 times. Yeah, I did test it a lot. Let's get some levels out of the way. Let's clean up the kitchen. yeah, insanely corrective move in my personal opinion. Lots of overlap here, very three wavy moves to the downside. I mean, I would be very surprised if we were to get some kind of a movement like this. Very surprised, but the market is here to surprise us, guys. So I'm just a crazy guy on the internet that is trying to figure out, you know, the analysis and the projections and look for levels that are interesting for a trading setup. Out of that, hello sir from India, much love my man from India. When is your birthday? My birthday, my birthday is in August, my man. In a short position, says Chill Hills. Yeah, I've been very bad at shorting this market, guys. I mean, for the last few days. For the last few days, I've been really struggling into short. I was kind of interested in a short position here based on the triangle. But, you know, we front run some levels here, guys. Okay. We talked about the rejection here, you know, around about 106, 107K. Right? Maybe even 108K. I didn't short this movement, guys, down. It was, you know, very bad. I was very bad in catching the shorts, guys, these last few days. It's been hard for me to catch the shorts. But it doesn't matter. I did get in one here, made a few $1,000s. That is, you know, just a few days ago, last Tuesday. That's fine. But this range, my goodness, it's been easy to me to jump into the shorts at support. You know, it's not been easy, guys. This is happening. You know, not every day is easy in trading. Some days it is, but other days it's you just need to remain patient and miss the trade. Just like if we roll down from here, I have to miss the short. I have to miss it. I don't like, I would have maybe attempted if I was in front of the chart this morning, because there is actually a nice little exhaustion here. When you do count this, boom, 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 I got a bit of an ABC flat right there. And then, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see that this could be your fifth wave. You know, getting exhausted. This would have been an interesting area, as you do get that, you know, choppiness to attempt a short somewhere in this zone. But I missed out. If I would have analyzed this and we were not trading down here already. Anyway, let's go right away. This does look very one wavy. It does look very one wavy, guys. Very one wavy. I think there is a chance here in spiking up. CME futures gap. Lots of shorts, lots of short liquidations. I have to say, there is short liquidations. Quite a bunch of them, right? We do have much more liquidity to the upside. We're running out of liquidity to the downside, guys. There is really not that much going to 90K. 2 billion, 2.7 billion at 90K. And if you go to 100 and literally all-time high, there's over 12 billion. So there is a much more liquidity to the upside than to the downside. But then, regardless, there is still liquidity to the downside. Let's go through the comment section, guys. Let's see that like button getting absolutely destroyed. Let me know down below. Have we broken structure? Downtrend structure? No, I wouldn't say so. There's no proper break out of downtrend structure. And regardless, it doesn't matter really, right? When you do see this, oh, we broke structure, all-time high, right? Yeah, classic trap. Getting inside of the value area low of the range could be something. It might act as support, and we might get that extra rally, which, with all means, could mean that we are forming the ABC flat, which is one of the scenarios here in the white. Let me just get that drawing out of the way, and it would be this one, which is getting above the E wave, potentially, right? Potentially getting above the E wave. You don't have to. You at least need to hit the 0.9 Fibonacci from the highs to the lows, which would be around about here. You don't need to claim the highs, but if you were to reclaim the value area low, you got the point of control eventually as resistance. It could be that it stretches its legs. If it does do this, I would be interested in a short position at 106.5k zone, right? If it does create that SFP kind of scenario, I would be looking for a leg down at 106.5 if we claim it in the next couple of days. It's a bit too bullish right now as we're downtrending. It's like, hold your horses here, right? We got some scenarios that is claiming the lows. But if it just suddenly spikes up in the next coming days to 106, that is another interesting level to short. It's literally a swing failure pattern because we have an ABC flat to complete your Y, WXY, which would be this scenario right over here. Where is it? Yeah, I like that scenario. Would be interested in a short to claim the lows again, right? I think there would be a lot of people getting bullish if the price does manage to get all the way up here. I think it's a great short. The structure doesn't look right. Depending on how we move up there, I don't know. This is going to be in the next coming days, so we can talk about that later on as the price develops. For the moment, we are downtrending, so let's not get too excited. CME gap have been filled. CME gap has been filled. The CME gap has been filled. I mean, technically it hasn't. Technically it hasn't, okay? The CME gap is from Friday close, okay? Not this wick. This wick is from a few hours ago, as you can see, right? If you have a wick here and you form a gap here, all right? If you have this price action, right? If you have this price action and you form a gap here from Friday close, this does not mean that the gap has been filled with this price action here. You need to get to the Friday close, which is all the way up here. Okay, this wick is irrelevant, right? It's like saying we filled the gap and all of this is part of the gap. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with the gap. This does not have nothing to do with the gap. The gap is from Friday close. So yeah, just a quick brief explanation on the gap there. Bitcoin getting a little bit of a dumpy dump. Yeah, the next level of interest here would be the back test, sweeping up the lows. Let's see if we do get a little bit of proof of support here, guys. This would be the next interesting zone. We are dropping. I didn't want to have anything to do here. Just realizing of the ABC. Ideal consolidation, sweep up the lows here and find proof of support. Could be the zone of interest. Could be the zone of interest. Let's see how we behave in this region to literally look for that three-wave move up. Any tips on a potential quick scalp? Market's opening right now with a little bit of dumpy action. Dumpy action on the NASDAQ, guys. Ooh. Yeah, markets are opening here with, with a bit of a dump. Bitcoin getting that dump also. Yeah, I mean, this is the zone that needs to hold, to be honest. Could there be a way of counting this as a three-wave structure? I like it more as a five-wave structure. I see it incomplete. I mean, eventually there would be a way in counting this as an A, B, and this is a C wave of some kind. And it is a three-wave structure and it rolls down. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to be right or wrong. I'm here to know where are the levels of interest. how to react on a, a proof of support with bullish CV divergence to give a chance for the bullish case, right? I try to be right. We always try to be right on the movements. Somebody was saying about a scalp long position, a scalp position, sorry. I mean, with this choppiness, with this move up, this could be already the 3 waiver. I wouldn't be incredibly interested in long in here. I'm not interested in a short. It's just a zone where I'm not interested in doing anything, really. This would be a zone purely based on Elliott wave theory and purely based on the back test of the lows of the range. So sometimes, the more you trade, the more probabilities you have in losing money. You know that, right? The more you trade, the more probabilities there is in losing money. The more if you try to get into 10 trades, I mean, unless you have a massive, great scalping strategy, it really depends on your strategy. I'm getting more into chilled. I'm an old man right now. I'm getting more into get into trade, leave it for a few days. But yeah, not really interested in this zone anyway, regardless for scalps or not. Anchored VWAP is trying to hold as support here. Markets did open with a dump. US markets opening with a little bit of a movement down. Anchored VWAP trying to hold our support. This could be the 3-wave structure that finishes here. It is still relatively shallow. Ideally, you do get a bit more of a pullback to at least get to the 382 and even 50% Fibonacci. All right, that would be the ideal area with a back test of the lows of the range. If it bounces from here, then so be it. A little bit of a risky long, sweep the lows with the market dump. A bit aggressive for the long. I wouldn't look for shorts on on the drop. But yeah, the more you trade or try to trade, there is more probabilities in losing money, guys. Okay, this is a ferocious market. There are very big, unpredictable movements, and the more you try to trade every day and get into 10 trades a day and stuff like that, have your levels, wait for the levels, wait for your plan, right? And then just trade it. Just trade that plan. You need to look for a short zone. You need to look for a long zone, and just wait for one of the 2 levels to be hit. Analyze the situation. Value area low. CME futures gap. We failed to break it. This could be a 3-wave structure. We are downtrending. Liquidity grab. This could be a bit of an SFP scenario. That's interesting. That is an interesting level for an SFP. When you're in this rangy movement here, not interested. Let's go right away through BTC holding good. BTC is holding quite good. Andy, if I go to Legends Pro, will I miss something from Signals channel? No, you won't, because I do provide the setups as well. The Telegram is really just to tell you, there is information, of course, from analysts there, local information. But in the Telegram, you will have me putting my name down and saying, I'm entering a long, I'm entering a short, stop loss here. I'm looking for this target. And that's what you get in the Telegram. But I also provide it in the Legends, okay? But in the Legends, of course, you have much more. You have the modules going from, basics, advanced to expert, basically, right? Going through Elliott wave theory, pointer controls, all sorts. You've got all of the modules to learn risk management inside of the Discord. And you also have access to daily updates from Devil, right? The rest of the coaches and myself. It's a little bit more packed, right? The Discord. Telegram is a bit of information and me saying when I'm entering a trade and when I'm not, when I'm going short or long. That's it. I know a lot of people are interested in that, and I don't mind sharing my trading setups. I'll just say that what I'm doing, and if you want to copy that, then you are more than welcome. And yesterday's one was the long. Yesterday, as the long position here, we formed a base. We were hitting some extensions. I was very much aware that this is unlikely to break down in an impulsive, third wave. We are going to find, potentially a liquidity grab from the lows of the range, 1-to-1 extension, 1-2-3 extension, realizing that a third wave here is unlikely, and all of this is choppy and overlappy. A bounce is kind of imminent based on all of these scenarios that, were provided. Either this one or it doesn't really matter. I'm looking for, I'm not looking for a successful breakdown here and the range to continue. Regardless if it goes to 98, 97, I'm not looking for a successful breakdown, right? So, and that was the long position. We formed a little bit of a base at some extensions, and I just gave the signal, guys, I'm going long, scratched a bit of profits, just realizing the bearish case and leaving some open to see if we do fill that CME futures gap at 103k zone, which I do see possible. I do see that possible. I do see a kind of a 3-wave move up. At least. Will it be bullish or not? Well, we're going to have to see how that does perform, if it is going to move up. But ultimately, at least a 3-wave structure. If we get, if we do get the choppiness here and lose the value area low, fill the CME futures gap, sweep yesterday's highs, it could be the case that we go down. And depending on the price action, I will get into the short or not. And eventually the Discord and the Telegram will be informed of that. Okay, I'm sharing all my trades now, guys. Have no issue in doing that. Isn't the CME gap at 93k as well? Yeah, there is. Yeah, exactly. So we do have that gap. We have someone that was confused, thinking that this wick was the gap, I think, but no, the CME gap is coming all the way up above 103k. Friday close. I'm not a fan of gaps, but I do, when we did get this significant drop on Sunday, yesterday, it would make sense. Create the fear, this, that, the other, US strikes, blah, 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 big fear on Sunday, big recovery on Monday, right? Markets are going to open dumping. Well, I didn't have that mentality, guys. As mentioned on yesterday's video update, if we go down to 100k, I think we're gonna bounce back up, regardless of this scenario, regardless of this scenario. I think we're gonna bounce. We're gonna get that bounce, right? And there's two scenarios. One more bullish, which is forming a flat, right? Actually getting to 106. Will it happen or not? Well, we're just gonna have to see how the price reacts right now, right? So, for the moment, yeah, we got. Not an easy long, guys. Not an easy long, I have to say. Preferred level would have been this one. Not an easy long here to jump into right there. Some people said that they were in short positions. Hope you do have a good risk management strategy, guys. We could fail to get inside of the value area low, sweep yesterday's highs, fill the CME futures gap, and hopefully for the bears, we do reject from that zone, right? We do reject from the zone. We see weakness. It doesn't continue in a third wave. And once we get this kind of price action getting back below all of these levels, we can consider the downtrend continuing, right? But if we blast through the level, then up we go, I guess, right? Higher we go. Mark Dutch, my brother. I don't think 4-hourly BTC dominance is tradable. Yeah, the Bitcoin dominance. Mark Dutch, Aditya here around also. Much love to you. Bitcoin dominance, guys. My altcoins are wrecked. Okay, let's be clear here about altcoin. You know, maybe about 5% of my net worth, 25-30% of my crypto portfolio is altcoins, which, you know, I'm doing pretty good with Chainlink and Ethereum, but the rest of them, I'm getting wrecked, guys. Hey, welcome to crypto. I'm not getting wrecked. It's just unrealized losses. ICP, oh, it's getting a bit of a bounce here in the 3 minute. But yeah, I'm not selling eventually. Would be a most epic zone to reaccumulate a bit more. It is very rangy. It is very bottoming out here. We talked about this. You do as you wish, but yeah, I mean, this zone to buy up is not a bad zone, right? It's not a bad zone. Bitcoin dominance is created another high. That is good, because when the Bitcoin dominance creates another high, you would expect it to get a corrective move. And that's when, regardless if it's corrective or if it nukes down, we know that for the moment, it's maybe not going to happen, guys. But when it creates new highs in this, you know, uptrend momentum that we've formed, right? New highs, correction, new highs, correction, new highs, correction. It did break through quite a, oh, well, this is the high really. So new highs, correction, new highs. You know, a correction is kind of expected for the next couple of weeks, which altcoins could get that bounce. But yeah, I do hold some altcoins that are in the red, guys. Okay, it's inevitable. If I said that my altcoins are in profit, I would be lying. It would not be true. Say is in the red. ICP is actually in the red right now. Did buy in this area around about $5. Ever so slightly, but it's in the red. Anyway, it's just for the future, guys. The altcoins are really there. Not doing, you know, it's just an investment. Look at the that USE opened as well. Yeah, Nasdaq getting probably a bounce right now. Also Bitcoin, I can see Bitcoin is getting a bit of a bounce. Bitcoin is actually claiming the highs. Yeah, there it is. Wow. Yeah, interesting move. I did see some people shorting. Are we forming a little bit of an SFP here? It is just sweeping up those highs. This would be a more interesting short attempt. Value area low has been hit of the range. A little bit aggressive, but yeah, a little bit too aggressive, as this pump is actually quite fresh. It's quite a fresh pump here. Very straight up to the highs. I'm just a little bit concerned about this being the correction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction. Yeah, you know, push through here unless it forms a flat. But anyway, it's a liquidity grab. Yeah, maybe with a minor position. I do see that CME futures gap attempting to get filled, guys. Right, with the fear that there is in the market, lots of shorts entering the market. It's a liquidity game, guys, at the end of the day, right? No matter how bearish you feel, market is here to claim liquidity. It doesn't care about your bearishness. It is here to find liquidity wherever it is. The trend is down, but you know, with the Elliott wave analysis, it does seem like that we could be stretching our legs here a little bit. Where's that CME futures gap? There it is. We've got CME futures gap. Let's turn this yellow. Let's see if I think we probably have a naked point of control here. No, we don't. From the previous days. Let me just double check. Yeah, we do have also a naked point of control ever so slightly above us. You know, that's just the previous day point of control is where we have the CME futures gap, previous day point of control, yesterday's highs. It would be ideal to see a kind of a try and move up, fill the gap, and then just, you know, get back below all of the resistance. That would be the ideal. See the big rejection, sign of weakness. You know, the only thing, the only main reason why here, because I have, you know, we are pumping right now, is my doubts is based on this movement up. It would be a bit of a shallow of a C wave to then nuke down. Would I count, you know, C waves aren't usually that shallow compared to this wave. You would really want it to stretch its legs a little bit more, fill that gap, and then, you know, then we can talk. Then if we do see the rejection, the weakness, it does not continue to the upside. This is a little bit of an aggressive short for me anyway, right? A bit too aggressive, realizing the extension of the C wave, realizing the gap, the attempt in getting above the resistance hasn't been met right now. And I would really want to see an attempt in breaking the resistance, right? Attempt to break it and fail. That would be an interesting scenario to look for the short. 𝗞𝗔, my man, much love to you. Legends, remember, if you are interested, we do have Phemex that do have incredible bonuses at the moment. It is in between 100 to 650 on the sign up. You do have the link down below in the description, guys, for Phemex, okay? It is this link right over here if you are interested in trading in Phemex, okay? They do have 100 to 650 sign up bonus, which is very, very nice, okay? Make sure to take advantage of the links down below. I'd never buy an altcoin with the ticker ATH US dollar tether, says 𝗞𝗔. Andy, my short position is still good. Yeah, I mean, if you're shorting from higher, then yeah, I'm sure it's good. My short, I have taken profit from all of the short, and it was a small short compared to what I'm used to trading with this account. But I've been sucking at shorts, guys, these last few days. Really, you know that. This was an interesting short, but I wanted higher. There was a daily level that was front runned. It was a shallow pullback when we consider the triangle. You know, I preferably would have got this a bit higher. I don't know. It's just not an easy short. I did short here. This was nice. You got the big move down, 3-wave structure up. This was you know, this is a nicer short. This one not too nice. So anyway, we're probably forming a little bit of a swing failure pattern here. It is consolidating nicely. It is an aggressive short, guys, I have to say. It is a bit aggressive, but you are testing those highs. Liquidity grab, 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍. It either breaks through, you stopped out, or it actually comes back down to the lows when eventually the risk to reward is very, very attractive, right? So there is that short liquidity grab here above today's highs, stop loss at the highs, reclaim of the lows, and potentially even lower. And that's what we call a good risk to reward. If you get stopped out, it should be a minor loss. If it moves down and starts falling aggressively in the next coming hours, then the risk to reward is massive, right? Not only claiming this low, which could be an ABC flat and then rally up. That would be your TP1 target if it is going to be bearish. And if you do break down, then eventually, yeah, you're in a very, very good short position. But it is attempting to create that swing failure pattern. If this is the top, 1.618 fib extension, just nice hitting previous low at 103 zone. Not sure which one you mean. I would like to see a retest for the C leg get confirmed at a Bitcoin lower price hit between 98 to 96. Yeah, Manuel also. Retest for the C leg gets confirmed and a Bitcoin lower price hit. Yeah, this is without a doubt the 96, 98K zone, 97K literally, as explained at the beginning of the stream. Oh, it would be so nice. Muy interesante, Manuel. Muy interesante if we do get that leg down. To revisit here, we got obviously the highs, the order block, right? If you wish, you know, we got the point of control of the range. We got the 382 Fibonacci. You know, it would be absolutely epic if we were to come down and revisit the lows of yesterday. I would still be interested in longs. Okay, I would be still looking for a reaction, proof of support, and jump into another long here if we do get down there. If we pump, then I'm happy to hold the long position and take some profits at 103K if we fill the CME futures gap, and then we'll analyze the local price action that we do have in the Discord. Short it, guys. Ariane. Yeah, it could SFP from here. I'm not. Yeah, it is attempting to swing failure pattern. I'm just aware of this and this being the correction. And if you have a 5 wave, you know, pretty nice. I'm not going to say it's the best. And you get a correction. And this move has been your C wave. You know, it's a bit shallow. It's a bit shallow. Stretch your legs a bit, fill the gap, try and break the valley area low of the range, a bit of a fake breakout, and then get the, you know, the drop. Then I would be interested in maybe in shorting this. I won't catch the high. I would just want to see a bit of a confirmation weakness. You know, I would prefer rather shorting here after the weakness happens. And, you know, get a nice drop, and then the bounce. I would be looking at the bounce very carefully to get into the short. But I want to see that weakness, get back below the levels, see the rejection, right? Let the price action tell you the information that's going on here. There has been a quick test of the highs of today, but with the theory of, if this is an A wave, this is a B wave, and this would have been nice to get a little bit more of a leg down, if I'm honest with you. But this would be a shallow C wave. It would be shallow. I would prefer it to stretch the legs a little bit here, guys. Just because a shallow C wave, just getting above the A wave, is rare. And just because I know it's rare, it's not impossible. It's rare. You know, I would want to see a little bit higher. We got the CME gap. We got, you know, attempt of breaking above resistance. And then on the rejection, I would be interested in jumping into a short. Don't need to catch the ultimate high, right? This is the danger when you're trying to catch the highs, right? You're trying to catch the pump, see if it is going to reject. You know, you always have that issue. I've done it before, guys, many times. You try and catch the high, but when you find a base, or when you know, get the exhaustion here and the rejection from the level, it is kind of much, you got more information. You've seen the failed breakout, you're getting the weakness. This looks good. This looks good to short. This looks good. You're still in a downtrend. There is a bearish case. You're not claiming important resistance levels. You know, that would be my interest for shorting here. So I'm just gonna have to wait to see if that happens. Let the charts tell you what's happening, right? These are aggressive, especially when you understand Elliott wave theory as well, and you understand that it would be uncommon for this to be the end of the C wave. C waves usually stretch the legs. It does stretch its legs most of the times. So with that theory, you understand, you know, that this is a risky short. But if it, you know, if anybody got in, you know, you just get stopped out. And, you know, this is why waiting for, you know, lots of people get into the short now, short. You need to remain patient and understand the charts very, very well here, guys. These wicks and these, you know, test of the highs, unless you have a, you know, unless you just want to get into the short and have a little bit of a lengthy stop loss because you're targeting below 98k again, then, well, maybe you got a bit of a room. I'm going to remain a little bit patient, as mentioned, to see the rejection, right? Because if you do get the CME gap filled, you try to pump, you get the rejection back below the, you know, the point of control of this range, the value area low, you start getting acceptance back below the value area low, then I rather put the stop loss, you know, enter a trade here on the sign of weakness, put the stop loss at the high, and then, you know, target the lows. But when you're trying to catch the pump, you know, to short, you kind of get into that death spiral, right? You kind of get into the, you know, it needs to reverse. It needs to reverse. It needs to reverse, right? And you're like, getting into the trade. You know, wait for that big, you know, drop. Once you fail to tempt the resistance, use a bit of Elliott wave theory eventually as well, which is very, very helpful, which makes you understand, you know, that the projection of a C wave usually is a little bit higher. We are hitting the value area low of the trading zone, so this is the moment of struggle. There's no doubt about it. It is the moment of struggle here. You're literally at the value area low of this entire range. It kind of wants to try and pop out, at least fill the CME gap. We're not too far away in filling the gap. Not too far away. So, yeah. Neutral bond week. 105k next. Woo! We've got somebody that's quite bullish here, calling for 105k. I do have a scenario that is leaning to 105k, and that would be the flat here. That would be this flat right over here, which is actually getting to 106k. Yeah, let's see. In the longs already. Not too interested in shorts or for the moment. I will let the community know when I'm entering a short, guys. I'm in no rush. I want to get into a nice sign of weakness, you know, confident short position, trying to short the pumps, internal SFPs. I mean, this is resistance, but I'm not liking it. I missed many shorts, guys. I did not short here. I did not short here. I've been sucking at shorts the last few days, but it doesn't really matter. made money regardless. I just missed the shorts. And another long would be, yeah, as explained at the beginning of the stream, guys. Anybody that is joined right now on the stream, I do explain how another great long position, if you did not long yesterday, because you're not in the group, either the Discord or the Telegram, right? The Telegram Signals channel. Join here for more information, legends. Okay, it's the first link down below. I would still be interested in another long position. Point of control, the 382 Fibonacci. I still believe that we're not going to break down, guys. This is a corrective structure. It is very, very corrective. You know, studied very carefully the last few days what's going on in here. And it looks very, very corrective. So I'm interested in longing here at the, you know, below 100K, 98, 97. But it's very important as well, because if the price nukes down, I will not enter a long, guys. The moment I triggered the long position in the Telegram is when the price formed a base. The price got the volatility move down, and we were starting to form a base here. We were starting to chop. The price was getting weaker and weaker on the drops. That is the moment you want to be interested in taking the short. The long, sorry, not the short. The longs here on the aggressive moves, you want to stay away. You want to stay away here. Quick little bounce, yeah, not interested. Quick aggressive move down. This is where it becomes interesting. This is where it becomes very interesting to look for the long. Your big moves are getting exhausted. This is where I longed yesterday. Here. So, yeah. Yeah, price looks like it wants to jump up, guys. Not a successful SFP in the end. You're maintaining above this high. So it looks like it wants to attempt to jump up to fill that CME futures gap. I'm gonna have to let the community know that I want to scratch a little bit of more profits as we do get up here, because there's nothing worse than having an epic trade and not getting any profits from the trade, right? And it reverses on you, and you're like, damn, you know, could have made, you know, 10K profit here in this case, and just gave it back to the market. So I'm gonna be a little bit patient. I do think we can attempt to hit the CME futures gap and attempt to break out here the value area low of the range. There's been a lot of bearishness. Nasdaq is helping. Nasdaq getting the bounce. We just got a quick move down, then back up. Very nice. We want to see the Nasdaq bullish. Maintain that uptrend momentum. The fear of, you know, the war and everything, guys. What happens if they get into a deal right now? I have no idea what's happening in the last 24 hours, but it's the perfect scenario. It happens all the time. Claim a low of the range when there's mass fear, and get a decent bounce, right? It's just, oh, there's, you know, US strikes, this, that, the other, fear. We're dropping down at the lows of the range. I understand that the charts do not look bearish, and a impulsive move to the downside is not expected. If you sweep up the lows, I'm looking for a bounce, regardless of the war or whatever. So yeah, I want to take a bit of profits without a doubt from that long right now. We are at resistance, right? Let's not get too cocky here, because we are at resistance. Price could dump on my head very, very quick. I need to let the community know that we're probably going to scratch another 20% profit as we get into the resistance here, and it has to be done. Let's go right away through the comment section. And what do you think, Trendy? Let's go through the comment section. Short the bottom, yeah. Yeah, we're not shorting the bottom. Suzanne, much love to you. 98.9 for me. 98.9k. You got into the long. Wow, that's epic. That's epic, guys. Whoever longed yesterday. I mean, good job, right? I missed this short, but whoever shorted, whoever shorted Saturday or Sunday, you're at break even right now, right? This is the thing with trading, right? I missed this movement, but I got into this one. So, and whoever, if this does end up squeezing up, then whoever's been shorting the last 1 to 2 days is going to be like, oh, I'm at break even right now. I didn't take profit, I did take all of the profits of the short. I am looking for a reversal at some point in the coming days. The short trade, all of the profits were taken, which was not much for me anyway. It was just a head short, but managed to scratch the profits from the head short. I am looking for a reversal. And if we do claim the lows again, I'm still interested in longs, guys, okay, in this area. I want to see proof of support. I want to see some kind of a reaction. I am not catching a falling knife. I do not have limit longs here. That's not how I trade. But yeah, this zone at 96, 97k looks very interesting. I'm happy for the price not to be hit and actually continue to the upside. I usually bullish when they short like this. Yeah, there's been lots of shorts entering the last few days based on a lot of people calling for low 90k levels, okay, which could happen. I'm in from 98.4k long. Wow, that's epic. You literally catch the low. Yeah, I'm not that good at catching the lows, guys, or the highs. I need to see a bit of something. I need to see a little bit of a base. I need to see something. This was some good Fibonacci extensions being hit here at the 99k zone, but I needed to see a bit of a base. But wow, you catch or this double bottom, that would have been a good option. Double bottom right there. I mean, you are getting exhausted. Continuation down here was unlikely. Okay, as explained the last few days, it would be unlikely. Could you have been hitting 97k maybe or something? Yes, but it was unlikely to nuke down, right? It's an unlikely scenario, and this happens all the time, guys. It happens all the time. Whatever ranges you look at, right? This range right over here. I mean, unless you break down, right, and there is a bearish case, but when you test the lows, it happens all the time. There was probably fear here for some reason. There's many examples here. This is the best example as well, right? Test the lows, epic bounce. Yeah, you come down later on. There's no problem. You should be taking your profits. But here, the same thing. Big bounce, right, as you revisit the lows of the range. Anyway, profits have been taken on the long from yesterday. I need to let the community know, guys. Probably some of you are watching that I've scratched a bit of profits here already. Value area of the range, providing that resistance, big resistance. We do have another bearish case scenario, which is possible, which is this one right over here, regardless if it is a ABC flat, and then 1 2 3 4 5. This should be a flat. On some exchanges we did hit it has to be a WXY. It has to be a WXY, and this has to be the ABC flats. Really not nice at all based on the proportions. Is that a real word? It's not symmetrical at all. This X wave is very small. but it's a possible scenario. 105.7 liquidation. Yeah, liquidation heat map looks pretty interesting. There's a lot of it above 103, 104. Lots of liquidity here. Yeah, there is quite a lot of liquidity. Muy interesante liquidation to the upside. Let me take a look at the poll. Almost 1,000 votes here. How are you feeling for Bitcoin in the for the next coming days? Bearish, 55% say bearish for the next coming days. We're going to roll over and test the lows of yesterday again. We only need one more attack, guys. We only need another, a little bit more panic again. Nothing is solved, I think. So maybe tomorrow we have, bad news again, which would be eventually leaning on the bearish case scenario, which would be this one, right? Get another move down to below 98K and then potentially look for the bounce. So yeah, these bounces do really feel not too strong. I am interested in shorts. I could be a little bit brave and give a bit of room here. Maybe look for a 2-to-1 risk to reward. But, I will find my sign of weakness on the chart. If maybe, unless we nuke down very quick and I just don't manage to catch it. Let's see what happens. 125x, you're a beast. My goodness. Wow, that's very brave. Very, very brave. I didn't caught the long limit order 97.6. Stop listening to noob, says Mark Dutch. Much love, Mark. Mark Dutch, the legend of mods. Much love from Boston. Maz, how are you doing, brother? Nice to see you around. Jorge, what 3 and 5 wave moves are telling? Can we consider 3 waver as a correction and 5 wave move as trend? Is this right according to Elliott wave theory? Absolutely, Jorge, that is correct. 3 wave structures are corrective, 5 waves are impulsive. Iran will drop the bomb again at US market close. Yeah, I mean, there's no signs of this stopping, guys. So we just need something to happen for the price to reject from this zone and claim the lows again, right? Maybe. Or what happens if there's a deal, right? There's a deal, that's it, which is highly unlikely, right? If we're looking at the the probabilities of that happening, I don't think so. And so if there were to be a deal, then I think a nice recovery would happen, but we know that that is unlikely, right? Great TA Autism Andy, says Spiff. Much love to you, my man. Love from Afghanistan, says Faisal. Much love. Can you accept me in the signals group? Absolutely. Send a message here. It's the first link down below. Okay. You will get messaged eventually. Okay. Let me finish the stream. Hey, buddy, would you mind taking a look at Solana? Wow. No altcoins, guys. I only trade Bitcoin. Sometimes maybe 5% of my trades, not even that. I mainly trade Bitcoin, guys, not altcoins. But we can take a look at Solana. I kind of like this movement to the upside on Solana, the recent one that we have. This one kind of looks nice. You just got that nice cheeky spike here to potentially finish your fifth wave. No overlap here. Could this be a corrective structure? Let's take a look at the value range. Yeah. I mean, if Bitcoin takes the dump, guys, stay cautious on these altcoins. You're just hitting the golden pocket zone, almost the value area low of this range that we formed throughout the last few weeks. Higher low here on Solana is a possibility. higher low on Solana here at the 120 to 130k zone is a possibility for a relief, at least a relief. Bitcoin dominance has hit new highs, which is kind of good for altcoins, because when you create new highs, you look for a correction happening in the next coming days, which will give that relief to the altcoins, right? New highs on Bitcoin dominance. So you are kind of expecting of a kind of a pullback on the dominance, giving that relief to the altcoins. I mean, it all depends on what Bitcoin does, right? So if Bitcoin does come down to revisit the lows of yesterday, then yeah, stay cautious with those altcoins, right? It's the Rain Man of Autism, Andy. Andy, your Discord invite link isn't in your description. It is. Never was. It is right over here. Of course, this takes you to the website, okay? This takes you to the website where you do have the Discord link, okay? But it's down below, okay? It's down below the Phemex link to join the Discord. It is going to 103.3k. Yeah, it does look like it. We do have that CME futures gap that we are looking to get filled. So yeah, it does look like that the price could stretch its legs a little bit more to fill that gap, right? It would be ideal. I know gaps, I'm not a fan of the gaps getting filled. It doesn't matter. We've got loads of gaps down below that are not filled, but I know it does act as resistance. Once it's filled, I know, a lot of the times it does get rejected. So it does provide resistance or support. We want double show analysis from you and 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗍. That is something that we definitely need to do in the Discord. Do a duo analysis, me and 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗍, for the legends. It's going to 200k, says Wellness. I do think so. In the future, 200 and even 500,000, without a doubt. Still holding significant Bitcoin in my portfolio. I've only sold 10% of my entire Bitcoin portfolio, guys, in the last couple of months. So I haven't taken much profits. So if we were to go down to 60, 50k, I only took 10% profits for the moment. But it's, that's an investment. It's long term, guys. It's not really much of a big deal. I would just buy more. Shout out from Los Angeles. As an American Iranian, I speak for all the millennials and our parents that, hang on a second, need to be careful here. Liberate country back to normal. Hopefully we handle business. Okay. Need to be careful what we can read here in the comment section. Shout out to you, baby genius. Where you been, Aditya? Aditya is around 330 likes. We do have, at the moment, absolutely awesome legends. I mean, yeah, what else can we say within this live stream? We are at resistance. We are at the value area low. I would prefer kind of a fake pump. Try and reclaim the value area low. It is resistance at the moment, so it is struggling. Fill the CME gap and get the rejection. And I might, jump into a short position. Still no shorts for me. I've been a little bit of a coward to short here. Only successful short was here a week ago. I did not manage to short here. I did not short here. I was actually in a long position that was provided. Just a nice little, day trade, a few $1,000s. Didn't short here. Didn't short here. Only compounded my short to maximize profits from the short, from the drop. And all of the profits have been taken. But kind of interested in the short, guys. Not being very easy for me. When you have these lower highs, there's that point of control here. Point of control. It does make sense that it could fail. Previous day point of control is slightly front runned. You do have the lower highs. It's kind of, you know, come on, just get that nice little pump and fake out. Fill the gap and get the weakness, and then, you know, and then roll down. Don't roll down on me here. Don't roll down on me here. Let's try and attempt to break through. But markets are so sensitive at the moment right now with what is going on right in the Middle East. They are so sensitive. You just need a bit of bad news, and this is just going to nuke, just like here, right? Just need a little bit of bad news. So I mean, shorts are very attractive. You are creating a little bit of that SFP here. Yeah, I'm just not liking it. Not liking it. I've been I was busy with taking profits, says Aditya. Hi Andy, can you do fart and SPX? Oof, fart coin, come on. Really? What do you mean with SFP? Swing failure pattern, right? That is literally when you attempt to break a high or a low, right? You attempt to break it and it fails, or you attempt to break it and it fails. That's what SFP means, right? But this one's been a bit choppy. SPX, I assume that is the stock market SPX, right? Or is it the crypto? Yeah, I mean, stock market looks okay. It's getting a significant bounce today. Stock market is getting a nice little bouncy today. Also with the Nasdaq. You swept the lows here, right? You opened down below here, got a big wick down to sweep up these lows, and now just recovering, and it does look like it wants to create some new highs. It wants to. Not looking bad. Legends, much love to everybody. I've said the levels and the scenarios that I would be interested. Fill the CME gap, get a bit of a stretchy leg move up, more of a three-wave structure. Failed to do so. You know, we know that the markets are so sensitive that whatever happens in the next 24 hours, something could happen and it could just, you know, down very quickly. So stay cautious. This is no zones to long, in my opinion, regardless if you do break out or not. It's a dangerous zone to long. You know, these pumps in this downtrend, and with the market situation, there is bearish case scenarios. I've explained the best levels. The short, I've explained what I want it to do. I want it to attempt a breakout and fail the attempt to break out, and then I would rather short later on with stop loss above the high. Fill the CME futures gap, get below again the value area low, and then see the weakness, right? This is not going anywhere. It's downtrending. I'll short later on, stop loss above the high of the breakout. If it rolls down from here, then, you know, I'd have to say I missed the short position. There's just a lot of levels that I want it to hit, first of all. And the long position, I would be interested again in the long position, okay, which is sweeping up the lows here, 96, 97K. Woof. Very interesting area. A lot of confluence. This is still corrective for me. I would be interested in getting into the long position. Legends, remember that you do have some great exchanges down below. Bluffin is one of my favorites at the moment. Also with Weeks. With Weeks, you do get 20% deposit bonus, 25% fee reduction. You only need an email and a password to sign up on these exchanges, guys. Either Weeks or either Bluffin. You do get incredible perks, 20% cashback also on Bluffin. Take advantage. It is the second link for Weeks or the fourth link for Bluffin down below. And if you want to know where I'm entering my next trade, join the Telegram community, guys, the Signals channel. You got all of the info down below to join the Signals channel, where I literally say I'm entering the long, guys, right? Where I'm entering the long position, where I'm entering a short. And the recent one was this one from yesterday. which is, you know, already protected. Let's see if that we do manage to squeeze out. Much love to everybody. Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you in the next one.